order to really sell something, you have to get in the mind of the customer.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hey, welcome back to the show. With me, I've got Michael Barbarita. Michael, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you, Todd? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm doing great. So Michael is the founder of Next Step CFO. He's an accomplished entrepreneur, award-winning public speaker, co-author with over 40 years of success across retail, manufacturing, and service companies. After launching his career as financial analysis, Michael led the retail chain Ski Town USA, brought it from two and a half to 8 million in annual revenue, in a pretty quick time. So, with that said, Michael, give our listeners a bit more about your background, and then we'll dive into what you're doing today.
Okay. Well, I went to Babson College, majored in accounting, and had a lot of accounting jobs, so-called accounting jobs at the beginning of my career, probably for the first 3 or 4 years. And I found that, I didn't want to work for somebody else. I didn't like the politics that was involved, although, there's politics too in real life business. But
oh yeah,
I just didn't like I just felt like I wasn't in control of my own destiny. So I bought a company with some partners called Ski Town USA. As you mentioned, we grew the company from 2.5 million to 8 million. I actually bought the company without ever skiing before. But I
what made you buy a ski company without skiing?
Well, because it was all about the numbers. It was how I thought it could work financially. Because that's my mind was all financial driven. So it's just a way the numbers work so well that I couldn't pass it up, even though I never skied before. So that part was interesting. And of course, I learned how to ski at that point. But then after I sold that company, like I said, we grew it from 2.5 million to 8 million. I sold that business, and I went into I bought some cookie dough recipes from a husband and wife team, and grew that business, frozen cookie dough, grew that business, and then ended up selling that to a frozen dessert distributor. And then I had a failure. I wanted to serve the aging population. So I started an outpatient rehabilitation facility called Freedom Therapy Center. And it's funny because a lot of the principles that helped me grow at Ski Town and at Cookies to Scoop, I didn't apply when I went into the medical business. And I don't know why. Maybe because the business itself threw me because of all the health insurance related activity and so forth. Because I did exactly what my competition was doing. Whereas in the ski business, I didn't, and I can give you a quick example. So when I was in the ski business, one of the things that I did that the competition wasn't doing is I implemented a strategy called a risk reversal, where the seller in the transaction takes most or all the risk. And so the problem that the customer had in the ski industry is they really never knew if the ski they were being sold was the right ski for them until they got up on the mountain and tried it out.
Yeah.
So we implemented what we called a ski guarantee. Ski the ski 3 times. You don't like it, bring it back for a brand new pair and keep bringing it back until we get it right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so but
if that person doesn't like that ski, then that ski's not probably worth much after they skied it 3 times, right?
That's right. So, so my managers and my employees thought I was nuts and thought that exactly like you thought that thousands of pair of skis were going to come back. And, but what I learned was, and what I thought was the case, was that the skier just wants a great ski experience. They're not looking to put one over on somebody. So we sold 8,000 pair of skis the first year we implemented, a 25% increase from the previous year, and only 8 came back.
Oh,
next year, 11,000 pair, 14 came back. But then fast forward to Freedom Therapy Center, where I must have taken these stupid pills or something, because I did exactly what my competition was doing, marketing to doctors to get referrals, bribing front office staffs with chocolate cakes, to try to get to the doctors. I did the exact same protocols. There was no strategy behind it, no risk reversals, no compelling offers, nothing. And so, I fell on my face. I died a miserable death. And I learned a lot from that. And after I closed Freedom Therapy Center, 30 days after, I started Next Step CFO. And because of my financial background, the way I ran businesses financially, I thought I could provide a lot of insight to small business owners in the same position.
So,
So the Ski Town example with the risk reversal was something that the competition wasn't doing. And then when I went to Freedom Therapy Center, I did everything that the competition was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that seems like a big risk, and it paid off pretty nicely because, like I said, like if I take your skis out for 3 days and I'm going to hit a couple rocks, probably.
Right. Well, that's absolutely.
Yeah, right. And so it's not like you can sell them for the, $1,000 I paid for them. You're probably selling them for, a fraction of that.
We sold used equipment anywhere between $10 and $40 at the time. This is back in the 80s.
Yeah. The different prices today.
Right.
I wish I could buy some used equipment for that much.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so you're getting a massive discount on them, but it ended up working out to where like 0.1% were returning these skis, which is amazing.
And the thing is about it, Todd, I do it anyway. In other words, if a customer came back and said, these aren't working for me, we'd give them a brand new pair. We did it anyway. So we might as well make our offer more compelling.
So let's advertise it.
Yeah.
Let's tell people we're doing it and make them feel
right.
Because that gives that's a compelling offer, right? Because exactly what you said, like I jump on a pair of skis, I'm like, I don't like these, So I'm nervous about buying this new pair of skis from you because I didn't like the last pair I bought.
You don't know until you go up on the mountain and try them out.
Yeah.
And I learned this through all the demo days that these ski companies offered us. I tried different pair of skis. I learned this because customers were coming back on their own without the guarantee, and we were giving it to them. It's just like the light bulb goes on. If you're giving it to them anyway, you might as well make your offer more compelling. And that's really the focus of a risk reversal anyway, to begin with.
So do something others aren't really doing in your business. Are there any other lessons that you learned from, that one failure?
Yeah. We have something that we coach our clients on. And that is what we call the conversion formula. And the conversion formula is a 4-step process that converts prospects into customers. And what we found was we had to go back all the way to 1931 to find this statement, is that in order to really sell something, you have to get in the mind of the customer. And so of course we're not mind readers.
Yeah.
But what the conversion formula does, it gets into the mind of the prospect by hitting on 2 emotional issues. And so the conversion formula is set up to address the prospect's problem and solution. So let me explain. So the 4-step process, you have to do it in the exact order, otherwise it doesn't work. I've seen a lot of people start in the middle of the formula. So the formula is this: captivate. What's that? That's the problem that the customer has and doesn't want. So if we can, it's a problem, whether it's a problem with the industry or with that specific product or service, but it's a problem that the customer has and doesn't want.
Yeah.
Second part of the conversion formula is called fascinate. This is the solution to the problem that they can't find. And by the way, the captivate, that problem should be the first thing that comes out of your mouth or addressed in any advertising or any type of communication with a prospect. You can even put it on your answering machine as an incoming greeting. But it should be the first thing. The second thing should be that solution. So you got the captivate, and then you get the fascinate, which is the solution to the problem. And then now that you've got the prospect's attention, you can now educate them a little bit more detail on how you go about solving that problem. And then finally, you hit them with an offer that needs to be so compelling that the customer can't say no. And there are 5 components to a compelling offer that I'll get to. But first of all, what I see a lot happening is people starting with the educate, because as business owners, we always feel that the customer doesn't know enough about what we do. So we have to educate them. And by starting with that, it's all about the company and not about the prospect. In order to talk directly to the prospect, you have to identify the problem they have and the solution they can't find. And the other thing about the conversion formula is people buy based on emotion and back up that emotion logically. So the way to captivate and fascinate, those are the emotional triggers, the problem and the solution. And then the educate is the logical trigger. So if a wife was explaining to the husband why they bought something, she would use the educate in order to explain it, because it's the logical approach to buying the product. And
that makes sense.
And then the close has to be compelling. And so we have 5 components that we coach on and strategize with to a compelling offer. Number 1 is scarcity and urgency. And this is used a lot, scarcity and urgency. In other words, this offer is only good till Friday, or scarcity, there's only 5 left, or we only have 5 spots, or there's only 2 spots. So scarcity and urgency is one component of a compelling offer. And one can use one or more of these 5 components. The second is risk reversal, just like we did at Ski Town, right? The ski guarantee, where the seller in the transaction takes most or all the risk. That is a compelling offer. Third is adding more value to your product or service. When I was in the frozen cookie dough business, I understood the long-term value of a customer. And the problem that the customer had in that business was they didn't want to waste valuable oven space baking cookies. Okay, they didn't want to do that. They wanted, like if they were a pizza parlor, they didn't want to put cookies in the oven. They wanted to put pizza in the oven so they could drill out, right? Or the core product, whatever it is. So what we did with every opening order is we gave the customer a free convection oven. And now the convection ovens were expensive, and it never ever covered the opening order. But we were not only confident in our product that they would reorder, but we understood what the long-term value of a customer was. And so we gave away the convection oven up front, so they had a separate oven to bake the cookies. And then we depended upon the value of our product to have them continue to reorder, and the fact that we got the sell-through and so forth. So that's adding more value to a product.
Yeah, and that's a big risk. I mean, that's a big risk to take. So you got to believe in your product right there.
That's right. That's right. You better have a good product, right?
Better have a good product.
Right. That'll prove it.
Yeah.
Then the 4th component is packaging and bundling. People see value in packages. You know, when I was in the ski business, everybody packaged skis, bindings, and poles. Everybody. The ski packages are even prevalent today. It's just commonplace. But what we did is, in addition to having a ski package, skis, bindings, and poles, we took the most effective ski graphics that were selling the best. And what we did is we put together a clothing package to match those skis. So we put together a parka, pant, sweater, and hat, all matching individually, but then also matching the ski graphics, the most popular ski graphics. And those things flew out the door. And nobody was doing that. No competitors were doing that at all. They were not packaging. But packaging and bundling is an effective way to make your offer more compelling. And then finally, something that used car salesmen don't do is being indifferent to the outcome, being detached from the sale. That's a very important strategy, because if you're don't look detached from the sale, the prospect feels it's all for your benefit and not for theirs. It's all about you. It's all about you wanting to make a sale and not really interested in solving their problem or addressing their issue. So that's the 5th component, being indifferent to the outcome. It's a very important strategy if you're in sales and marketing.
Yeah,
it really is, especially today.
I mean, So I raise capital for real estate projects, and one of the things that I tell people when they're going to raise capital for the first time is like you can't be desperate. If you can't ask for money, you just can't. Like it has to be just this is an opportunity for you. It you know take it or leave it type of thing. Like if you're like, hey, I've got this deal, will you invest? Like no. But if you're
Right.
like, hey, I've got this opportunity you might be interested in, and if they say no, it's like that sounds good.
Right.
So it's a bit. There's just a big difference between asking for the sale and providing the opportunity for the transaction to happen.
Absolutely. And so that is the fifth. And it helps, when you're indifferent to the outcome and the customer can tell that you're indifferent, you're really locking arms on the same side of the table. And that's really the objective here.
Yeah. You talk about the 80-20 rule to gain time freedom in your business. What's the 80? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by the 80-20 rule, and how
So
do
I
you
think
use
most
it?
people are familiar with the Pareto principle, the
Yeah.
80-20 rule. And
Yeah.
when we interview a lot of business owners, and when we talk to business owners and they think of the 80-20 rule, they look at 80% of their revenue is driven by 20% of their customers. And all that's true. Everything relative to 80-20 is true.
Yeah.
So no one's inaccurate. But what we did in our book is we said, what is that 20% of things that we do every day that can drive 80% of the revenue? So what is that 20% that we can do every day that drives 80% of your revenue? It's about leveraging. So it's leveraging time. And what we call that is we call that the 7-step pathway to profit formula. And what those 7 steps are, number one is leads. You have to generate, quality leads. And so you have to work on that. So generating leads, conversions. What does conversions mean? Not conversions to a customer, but conversions to your sales process, whatever that is. So you have a lead, you now need to convert them into your sales process. And then you have a closing rate, which is converting the person from the sales process into a customer. You have to work on client retention. We business owners sometimes get very complacent. Once we get a customer, we think we get to keep them by default. That's not the case.
Yeah.
You have to work.
No.
You have to work. Right. You have to work on client retention. The fourth thing is that you need to work on as part of the 7th step, and the 20% that drives 80% of your revenue is average dollar per sale. Work on increasing your average dollar per sale, average order value, some people call it.
Yep.
And then the 6th thing is frequency of sale. How often does a customer buy? And you need to understand that metric and work on improving that. And then you got to address your costs, in terms of both fixed costs and variable costs. And so those 7 steps, if you focus on those 7 steps, it will drive 80% of your revenue. And the beautiful thing about it, Todd, is that there's a compound effect that takes place when you increase 2 or more of any of these areas. If you increase closing rates and client retention, it has a compound effect on profit.
Yeah.
And so by understanding that those 7 areas compound on each other, you can really see how it leverages your time and drives revenue.
The one that I feel like, and you tell me what you think is the hardest one of those, but to me, the hardest one is the retention part, because once somebody becomes a client, it's easy for you just to not necessarily ignore that person, but not put your focus on. You're focusing on the new person, right? You're not focusing on the existing. Would you say that's the truth?
Absolutely, because it's funny you mentioned that, Todd, because in our analysis of clients and prospects, it's the most neglected area out of the 7.
Yeah.
It's the most neglected.
And probably maybe not the easiest one, but the most valuable one. It probably likely, like when that person becomes a client, you should really protect them with every, like you don't
Right.
want them to go anywhere else. You want them to be a client forever because that's a huge benefit. They're referring other people to you. If you've got raving fans that they help you grow your business so much, they just keep on referring you out. And man, I mean, that is a sales person that you didn't hire that's literally paying you to use your product, but you retain them and you're doing a good job with it. Now they become one of your salespeople without you even
Right.
knowing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so another thing that we found interesting when we were doing research for our book, and we found a lot of studies on this. It wasn't just one. Oh my God. And that is this. In any industry, at any moment, only 1 to 3% of that market is ready to buy now. The other 97 to 99% are on the buyer's journey. And so we found that really amazing because everybody's going after that 1 to 3%. They're not focusing on the 97 to 99%. Those are the prospects that are on the buyer's journey. And if you use what we found is if you use the conversion formula while the prospect is on that buyer's journey, it only takes between 5 and 12 touch points 80% of the time to convert them to a customer. And so without the conversion formula while they're on the buyer's journey, it takes between 20 and 100 touch points.
Yeah, you may never get there.
That's right. And you quit.
Yep.
Right. And so
somebody else starts stepping in and they become their customer.
Right. That's right. So it's really interesting. And the conversion formula can be used for real estate investors who are looking for tenants by identifying the problem that the tenant has and they don't want, and working. And that's so the conversion formula can be used exactly in that way in that industry.
Yeah, very true. On certain times, like, I mean, look, I think most business owners feel a little maybe nervous right now about what's going on in the economy overall. And we've been talking about a recession now for how many years, right? In
right.
Inflation and all that kind of stuff. So is there anything that business owners you think can do or should be doing to prepare to be ready to be thinking about, uncertain times in their business?
Yep. We have a 7-step process for that. Everything isn't a 7-step process with us, but that just happens to be that the 7-step pathway to profit formula.
Well, you do have that is a theme though. Everything is in a certain amount of steps, right? The conversion formula, 4 steps. You 5 components to making an offer, right? So you do have steps, which is probably we do. On purpose, right? It's a lot easier for me to understand. I got to do this, then this, then this. Right. And like you said, like it's the conversion formula. Don't do it backwards. Like you got to start with
right. So in uncertain times, first of all, you need the ability to adapt and to be flexible to change. That's number one. If you don't have that flexibility and you're stuck on your ways, you're going to have problems in uncertain times. And by the way, that's why very few people thrive in uncertain times, because they don't have the ability to adapt and to be flexible to change. So that's one. Second, you have to understand what your number one personal goal is. If you don't understand what your number one personal goal is, you don't have the clarity to be able to adapt and to be flexible to change. And then you obviously have to understand your business goals. That's 3. So it's ability to adapt, define your number one personal goal. Then you work on your business goals. And by the way, it's net profit goals first, then revenue goals. Because without net profit, you can't hire. You need more profit if you want to hire a manager. You need more profit if you want to buy a truck or a vehicle for the business, or hire that key employee. The fourth is you need to have a visionary mindset. You can't dwell on the doom and gloom of uncertain times, or even the doom and gloom of bad economic times. You cannot dwell on it. You've got to keep consistently look forward and have that visionary mindset.
Yep.
And instead of a doom and gloom kind of mindset where because problems come up all the time.
Yeah,
as you
don't
know.
get caught up in the crap that happened. You got to be
Right,
looking forward. If you're looking back, you're doomed.
right. And the fifth one is a tough one because you got to know your numbers. And you've got to understand. I have to make it easier for business owners as a CFO, fractional CFO, and strategic implementation firm. We call it the vital five. If you know these five numbers, then you still need to understand what your financial statements are telling you, your balance sheet, your P&L, your cash flow statement. You still need to know what those financials are telling you. But if you know your vital five, which is sales, gross profit percent, net profit, and your current cash balance, then for the most part, you're going to be on top of your business. But if you don't know that vital five and you don't understand what your financial statements are telling you, then you're gonna get into trouble because it's the math and the data that really helps drive decision making.
Yeah, for sure.
And we business owners, we shy away from the math and the data.
Especially the visionary business owners, the ones that just have these ideas and they love growing the company and they love the process, and the numbers, like, yeah. Right. And sometimes it's like, I'm afraid of the numbers. Like, I don't want to see them because I don't want to know what they actually reveal.
Right. There is that fear. You're absolutely right. That's a great point. And so part of knowing your numbers is also understanding what your financial statements are telling you, but also having a business and cash flow forecast. Because the business and cash flow forecast helps you identify the most effective business model that you can have. And it also tells you when it's cloudy, not when it's raining.
Yeah.
And so that's the critical piece there. So number 5, know your numbers, is knowing your vital five, understanding what your financial statements are telling you, and having that business and cash flow forecast. The sixth item is implementing the right business strategies. And that's basically implementing business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. I can assure you that 95% of business owners are not doing the conversion formula, are not executing the conversion formula, are not focusing on those seven steps, are not issuing out compelling offers with risk reversals, packaging and bundling, scarcity and urgency, and those types of things. And they're doing what their competition is doing. And their marketing and their messaging is what I call I hope so marketing. And I hope so marketing is things like lowest price, great service, been in business for 400 years. All of we're honest and sincere. All of that stuff is jargon. It's not solving the customer's problem. It's all about the business itself. And it's overused by everyone. And the customer is saying, after they hear we're honest, well, I hope so. I'm not going to do business with a crook.
Yeah, that's what I expect.
That's what I expect. Exactly. I hope so. I hope you do this. I hope you that. I hope you this. So that's what we call I hope so marketing. And that's not implementing business and financial strategies that your competition isn't doing. And then the seventh thing is invest. Invest in the 3 A's: assets, amazing people, and automation. Make investments. Don't think of them as expenses. Make investments in those things: assets, amazing people, and automation.
I like how you used amazing people, not just people.
Right. Well, that's to get that other A in there. The 3 A's.
Well, but it's true, though. There's a big difference between just investing in some people or investing in amazing people. And it's amazing how much the biggest difference that those people can make in your business. I know for my business, at least, like when we had the wrong people on the bus, it just struggled. And then when we got some amazing people, it took off. It just launched. So that's huge.
It really is so true.
What else should people know? Maybe how can you leverage a fractional CFO for your team, or what else should people know?
Well, if you take all the CFOs in the Fortune 500, they're all strategic. Otherwise, they don't get the job. So they all understand business and financial strategy. But for some reason, the fractional CFO gets a pass on that. And they don't have to understand business strategy. Well, I don't believe that.
They just
I believe
just have to understand the financial aspect of it. You're saying
that's right. And they go over that over and over and over again without talking about how to implement actual business strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And then because when I do a forecast, I can show my client what that strategy looks like financially. Okay. But if we don't have the strategy, all I'm doing is showing what their current business model and their current mode of operation and their current way of doing business is going to look like financially. And we could do that too, but we add that element, that the strategic element that that the best CFOs in the Fortune 500 do. And so that's where we differentiate ourselves.
Love it. What we're going to switch gears a little bit, Michael. What's a favorite book that you could recommend to our listeners?
Well,
you got your own, right? So let's mention your own and then mention something else.
Right. Okay. I think that Traction book is fantastic.
Ooh, that's a great book.
That's a fantastic book. Right. Really, it pins down, it gets you thinking. And that's what I love. And that's what I think Powerful Business Strategies, our book here, does. It gets you thinking. It gets the wheels turning as to how a business should be run. And, and we outline 20 strategies in our book, and both business and financial strategies. And so, but like I said, Traction is an outstanding book to really get your head around what you should be doing as a business owner and how you should be approaching it.
Yeah, love that. Last question. I usually ask mistakes you've made, but you already talked about that. So you threw me off by talking about that early, which is good. So last question is, what are your 3 pillars of wealth creation?
Well, because I'm a financial guy, it's profit, but creating value, looking to create more value.
Yeah.
Whether it's in your product or service, or whether it's to your employees so that you can retain them, but always looking to create more value. And then having a step-by-step roadmap or has systems in place that help automate process, that help streamline processes and make the business more efficient.
Love it. Love it. Michael, really appreciate you joining our show. And
had a lot of fun.
A lot of great stuff. I mean, from just talking about doing something different than all your entire competition, stop thinking like everybody else.
Right.
To the conversion formula, 4 steps there, the 5 components to an offer, what to do on certain times. I mean, a lot of great stuff. This is really packed full, I think. And people should go get your book, Powerful Business Strategies, and learn more. How else can listeners reach out and learn more about you?
Okay. Thank you. You can get our book. We give it away free. Okay. And it's not on Amazon. It's not a thing. It's a free book. And you could go to nextstepcfo.net. You can download it from there. It's on the homepage, on the bottom of the homepage. So it's easy to find. But also business is always changing, Todd, and we love interviewing business owners because because business is always changing, we keep writing additional additions to our book. And so we love interviewing business owners to make sure that our strategies work in their particular industry. And we interview business owners, but we ask them to give us perspective of their industry, not necessarily of their business, but of their industry.
Sure.
And so if any of the listeners would like to do a book interview, they could go to nextstepcfo.net/contact, and then fill out the contact form and put in the message box book interview. And we'd love to interview them. I can promise them one thing: they'll learn business and financial strategies during that interview that their competition isn't doing. That I promise.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's a great offer. Helps both people out, of course, but
right. Helps both people.
Right. Love it. Well, Michael, again, really appreciate you. Appreciate you joining the show, and you have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thanks, Todd. You too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.